What up, everybody? Welcome to Legacy TV. And today we are on the 5th episode, and I got a very, very special guest today. I got some things that I want to talk to a lot of people about today that's going to touch home. So I got my boy with me that I've known for probably over 20 years. And today he is a drug and alcohol interventionist and also a recovery coach. You like how I can pronounce all that? I had to do a little practice. You see what I'm saying? But welcome, my boy, Pej. He's also on YouTube with Pej's Recovery Corner.
Yeah, that's my podcast. But it's on my Pej, the Addiction Interventionist. That's my YouTube channel. And then I'm on TikTok as Pej Intervention.
I love it. Every day that I go on YouTube, because I'm doing YouTube myself, I get to see one of the things that he posts, which is talking about alcohol or drugs and how it relates to people and what the fuck is going on. So every day I get to get reminded to stay on the right path. So it's actually a blessing what you're doing for people, bro. So I wanted to have you on. I'm very proud of you. So I wanted to get into, like a little bit of, what we've been through and maybe we can be of service to some people out there.
Hopefully, God willing.
God willing. That's what it's all about, bro. So let me take you back first to how I met Pej. I met Pej back in the days when I think I was about 19 or 20 years old. I was very young. And at that time, I was like on a mission to be the best rapper that there was out there. And I wanted
Legacy.
The one and only. So I was running into a lot of different people that were doing music at the time. And also I was fucking around in the streets. So I was smoking, I was drinking, I was talking to the ladies, I was doing my thing out there. Yeah. I was getting in trouble. So I was living the rap life, kind of say. Mm-hmm. And then, when you're doing that and you're doing drugs and you're around drugs, you want to kind of
do more drugs.
Right. And then not only that, but you want to know who's got the best drugs.
That's right.
And so when you're looking for the best drugs, that's where you stumble upon Pejman back in the day.
I mean, if you're going to do drugs, why would you want to do shitty drugs, right?
Bro, so tell me, for you, because my audience, may not know you very well, but I know you very well. But for my audience, tell me, how did Pejman start doing drugs and alcohol? Where did this come from? Were you brought up in a home that was going on, or did you see it on the streets? What brought you to start messing around with it?
Well, being a Persian American kid coming over here from Germany, because I was born in Germany originally, to two Persian parents that had met there, we ended up in Salt Lake City, Utah. So there wasn't a lot of us there, and there wasn't. I would try to fit in with people. I was like a chameleon. I would dress like other people. I'd talk like other people. I'd try to fit in, but I just couldn't fit in. And so I started hanging out with the other outcasts. And I started drinking alcohol at a very young age. My dad would give me little sips of his cognac or like his beer. And that was like 8.
My dad used to do the same shit to me.
At 8 and 9 years of age.
Just to see how you fucking act on the stuff, right?
So already a substance was going in my body at a young age. But at the age of 12, I was mowing lawns. And I had already sniffed some glue in class, but then when I was mowing lawns, suddenly I don't know where I got this bright idea to start huffing gas. So I was huffing gasoline, and that was like where I started going into other realms of my mind, like into the other world, right? And then also around that time too, a Persian wedding, 12 years old, people were drinking. I was bored. People were leaving their drinks all over the table, so I went around and started finishing their drinks. And the next thing you know, I was fucked up. I was drunk. And
did you know as you were drinking what you were drinking, or you were just seeing other people drink? You knew. You already knew.
Yeah, I was 12 years old.
You knew you were going to get fucked up, so you wanted to get fucked up.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, as much as I didn't want to be there at first, when I got all that alcohol in me, I became a different person, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I slid out on that dance floor. I was breakdancing, pop locking, doing all kinds of moves, so I felt comfortable in my skin. Yeah. And that's I chased that fucking feeling. Even though they took me home that night and I blacked out in my bed and I puked in the bed and I wet the bed, I woke up the next morning. I was like, I have fucking arrived. Like I'm going to chase that feeling over and over. So we moved out here to California when I was 15. Dad said we're moving to LA. my dad must have thought the entire state of California was LA, because we didn't move to LA. We moved to the big old city of Costa Mesa. And when I landed in CM,
shout out OC.
I walked up into my high school and I saw, it was like a culture shock, because I see Mexicans and blacks and Persians and Asians and all different nationalities. And like for a guy that was living in middle America amongst all whites, being a token brown boy, Muslim with all these Mormons, now I'm here in an area where it's just a huge melting pot.
Everybody's out here.
Yeah. And then the next thing, I just gravitated right towards people. It was like between 15 years of age and 16 years of age. That's right when I landed. It was high school times. It's like when people are fucking partying, they're going to
in our days. Maybe not so much now, because when I got a daughter that's in high school. It's not like that anymore. But in our fucking time, it was party central. It was fucking rap music, skaters, drugs, and alcohol.
Well, you must keep a tight wrap on your daughter, because my girlfriend's kids, they be partying. Like they definitely, they drink on the weekends. And I think that some of them haven't really started to get into heavier stuff. A few of them like fuck around a little bit with like some Xanax and shit like that, or maybe some opiates and things, but not heavy. But in our day, yeah, like there was a lot going on back then. This was like, for me, it was the late 80s.
Right.
And, you know, like there was a certain tone in the music that we listened to. Like it was basically building your identity around what you listened to. And that would consist of slinging dope and getting the hot bitches. And
fuck the police.
Fuck the police. Definitely like you become an automatic rebel against society, right? And fights. It promoted everything that would make everything you see in movies. Now you want to be that shit, and your music that you're listening to is that shit. So then you start doing that shit. Slinging dope came easy. It was like just a way of life, because when you're hearing about it in a lot of the music that was coming out, gangster rap was new, but it was professing. It was definitely like, it was making me want to be a person that's going to identify with the music and build my identity around it. Yeah. And that's exactly what we did, So, but, also I did what I think a lot of kids still do it. Like there was an experimental phase. I think for some kids, addiction is an experimental phase and they grow out of it and they go on and do things in their life. For this kid, like I'd had my little hallucinogen run. I did the mushrooms and I did the acid, and I got into some stuff, but
I got a funny story to tell you about acid, bro.
Okay.
We'll get to it though, but go ahead.
There's something that happened to me though when I was 17 years old that doesn't happen to typical kids. And I had a car accident where I was stone cold sober that morning, but I had drank heavily the night before.
You had partied the night. This story was fucking huge. I remember this story that he's going to tell you right now. I just want to emphasize this because at the time when this happened, this was fucking huge.
Yeah, you were still a young kid.
I was a young kid, but I knew about it. I had heard about it. It was huge at that time where we were around the Orange County, period.
Yeah, I had partied the night before, but I was just stone cold sober one morning. I got into this car. It was my car. My dad had given me his 71 Super Beetle Volkswagen Bug. I had piled all my friends into the car, my girlfriend, my sister, six people just stuffed all in this car. We're driving to school. The streets were wet. I'm rolling. I'm going up to this intersection. Right,
bumping music, probably.
Bumping music. I remember exactly what song was on, but I remember out of nowhere, this 14-year-old kid darted out in the street right in front of my car. I couldn't hit the brakes fast enough, and his body and bicycle went over the hood of my car into the windshield. Windshield shattered. Car crashed into another car, and this kid's body was flung over the top of this minivan, headfirst into the ground. And 4 days later, his mom took him off of life support. He died. I remember getting out of the car. It was such a traumatic experience. Like I got out of the car, I had blood all over my face. My friends had blood all over their faces. I thought, did I hit a human body? I went and looked at that kid. He was laying face down with blood gushing out the top of his head. And I thought, fuck, I'm in big trouble. And sure
was he moving at all when you looked at him? He was completely...
Not even budging. Fuck. Not even budging. That's why when his mom kept him on life support, had she kept him alive, he would have been a complete vegetable. So she chose to pull the plug 4 days in. Now, for me, as a 17-year-old, experiencing that type of trauma and that type of tragedy, it just became an ultimate excuse to use and drink in excess. I already party. Now I'm going to fucking really.
Let me ask you a question. I don't want to. I know it's a touchy subject, but like, fucking hey, bro, that is just fucking crazy. It's like I didn't mean to fucking do that. And then here you are, all of a sudden, like, boom, what am I to do now? Like that initial feeling, like, what did your parents say? Like, what was the initial...
My parents were afraid for me.
The initial blowback, like, from the police, like, what happened? Like...
The whole city, basically, everybody started to view me, the situation, from different lenses. Like, the people that were close with me had my back.
It wasn't your fault.
This kid went to a different high school. And so, like, his high school started to look at our high school, like, that guy basically caused one of ours to die. So then I would get into arguments with people. People would hit me up on the street and be like, hey, you're the kid that killed the kid on the bike. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I didn't fucking kill nobody. Like, that was an accident.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't go out that morning to fucking go out and take someone's life.
Yeah, it was not a purpose.
And nobody can describe the feeling I had within myself, within my core.
Yeah, fuck what people say.
Of how it feels to think that, what could I have done to change that whole day so that kid could just live?
There's nothing. The thing you got to know that after all this time, you got to put it to rest because there is nothing you could do.
No, there's nothing.
This was God's plan.
Right.
This was God's plan.
Unfortunately, I mean, there's a lot more that happened later in life because of that, and I could get to that in a sec. But for me at the time, it just became a major excuse to fucking use.
You're numbing yourself after.
So I was only like barely had just turned 17 when this happened, and for the next 3-4 months, I started to fuck around so much. I mean, listen, I was getting in trouble with the cops every other day.
Fuck around how though? Like, break it down for me. What were you doing? What drugs were you doing? What were you stealing? Were you robbing?
I was burglarizing places. I was doing cocaine with some friends. I took a bunch of fucking electric Kool-Aid, which was acid, and I got arrested. Well, the school narc called the fucking cops on me because I wasn't supposed to be at that school because I got kicked out of that school, and I went over to the Bonehead school. But I went back on that fucking campus. Yeah, South High School. Secondary Educational Learning Facility. It's one of them schools you go to when you fucking can't perform well in a regular high school.
Yeah. And
so I went to this fucking school, and I would go over to my old school, and the school narc called the cops, and the cops came and picked me up, and I had just drank this fucking electric Kool-Aid. They stuck me in the back of a fucking black and white, and I'm starting to peek balls as they take me to jail. I'm sitting in a jail cell, and for the next 6 hours, I had a lot of conversations with myself. I was looking at the fucking shit on the ground, and I'm peeking balls. There's a camera on the top of the fucking cell looking down at me. I'm trying not to fucking be obvious, right? And then my pops showed up 6 hours later to pick me up, and he wasn't happy. And, you had this old Persian man he wasn't even old then. He was like still in his 40s. But he came, and he was fucking yelling at me, and then I was like, fuck, I don't want to deal with him, and I don't want to deal with any of this. And I got into enough trouble to, like, I accumulated a bunch of crimes to where I stood in a court in juvenile court, and the judge said, well, Mr. Alagamanan, we don't see fit to be on the streets. You're a complete menace to society. You've accumulated all these crimes, and on top of that, you have a vehicular manslaughter charge without gross negligence. Therefore, we're going to sentence you to 1 year in juvie. And I remember walking into juvie thinking, I saw my boy Angelo. He greeted me right at the fucking door.
I've been there too.
when Angelo was there, like, Angelo was always getting in trouble anyway. So he was a regular in there. And I remember walking up and hey, Angelo, what up, dude? We hard. We hard, right? He's like, you're a knucklehead. Go down to your cell. I'll fucking bring you some literature. And when I went into my cell, that's where the fear started to kick in.
Yeah.
Where the little 17-year-old, actually the little boy within the 17-year-old started to get really scared and think
that you hadn't been in jail before.
It's juvie. My very first time.
Yeah. I don't care how tough you are. That first time you go to get locked up.
Listen, when I was telling Angelo, we hard. He's like, go down to your cell, and it was down this corridor. As I'm walking down, I see these cholos looking at me through this fucking big metal fucking doors and the plexiglass. They're like, where are you from, fool? I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't want to be here at all. Like, who the hell did I think I was being hard a few minutes ago, right? So the fear was already kicking in. And then on top of that, I started saying some shit, screaming from my cell to where they thought I was a danger to myself, and they moved me into the psych portion. So now I'm in the psych unit. It was called Unit L, and Unit L amongst the inmates was the loony unit. So like now I got to see shit that I could never erase from my mind. I'm talking like there was gangbangers in there and shit that had killed people.
Yeah.
There was a guy in there that had killed his own mother, and he was an adolescent. Yeah. There was a guy named Booger that was fucking so out of his mind that this motherfucker would put mucus and feces all over his walls. And then he would like back up his toilet, and we'd have to, like, they'd make us go in there and clean his shit up because he would flood out the fucking cell.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you guys, they're not going to clean it.
So
They make the inmates clean everything.
So I'm locked up in there. I didn't get to see the light of day or feel the morning air for a good 2 months. And fuck it, that'll fuck with your head.
Yeah.
Right? It'll really fuck with your head. I didn't know if there was anything to live for anymore. I ended up staying in there for a little while. And on top of that, then I get fucking word because my mom and dad would come visit me. Not a lot of people's parents come visit them in there, but my parents would come. And when they would come, they wouldn't get along. They were fighting. I already knew there was, it was a tumultuous relationship way early on. But now they're going through a separation. And then by the time I stayed in there like 5-6 months or whatever. By the time I got out, mom and dad are separated. Like as dysfunctional as my family was, I didn't want our family to split up, and they split up. Now, my mom went to go live at this one place. My dad went to go live in Costa Mesa. And here I'm between homes. And I'm, getting in arguments with my mom. I'm turning 18. I'm doing steroids because I had major mad body dysmorphia, always insecure of my body, either I'm fat or I'm skinny. If I do steroids, I'm just muscular, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing steroids. I'm not staying sober, although I'm supposed to be. Every time I get locked up in my life, I always convince myself, when I get out of here, I'm going to walk a straight line. When I get out of here, I'm going to be a good boy. Never happens.
Praying and shit every day.
It was like, here, check this out. Like when you get locked up, it's as if there's a fucking little angel sitting right here on your shoulder, just telling you, be good, walk a straight line, do the right thing. But this little motherfucking devil, he like takes it right over here in the very back, just like kind of just whispering in your ear. But when you get out, you gotta smoke a blunt. When you get out, you gotta smoke just a little bit of weed. And I would always,
let me say something real quick. One of the things I think for people that when they get in jail, why they become like that, because they have to deal with the shit that's going on in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking politics going on in jail. When you get in there, you're immediately become a part of a race.
Right.
And you immediately have to worry. I'm not here just to do my time anymore.
Right.
That shit's out the books. And that's what I realized when I started going in. I was like, one of my homeboys told me, he's like, when you get in there, you tell me you're black and you're from blood hell, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? I didn't know. I have no clue. As soon as I walked in there, one of the Southsiders, hey, bro, you a homie? I'm like, no, I'm black and I'm from blood hell. And then he's like, okay, so your black shot callers over there. You got to go talk to them.
There was segregation and separation even in juvie.
But that fear, though, they want to, okay, I'm going to be perfect. And then as soon as they get out after a week of being free, that fear is gone.
Not even a week.
Most people
the second
fuck
I
up.
would get out, I was loaded almost immediately. As a juvenile, as an adult. Anytime I got locked up, I would always have the conversation with myself that you're going to be good. You don't really believe in God, but you know what? When you have an undetermined court case, then you might want to pray to something. Second you get the heat off your back, right back to living a lifestyle.
Right back to the same thing. Yeah.
So my young adulthood, my dad, he got in my face a couple of times. He used to be pretty violent. So one day when I turned 18, I put my hands on him. He decided to move out of this country. He moved to Iran. Mom moved up to LA. And I was this 18-year-old kid, still wet behind the ears, with no home training, no guidance from a male figure, suffering from addiction and alcoholism. And I'm slinging dope, so I'm thinking like, I'm the man. And like really from the outside, if you saw me, a lot of people like looked up to me. A lot of people were like, because they needed me. They needed me for the dope. And I got a lot of dope. And you have to understand, this was the fucking 90s. Yeah. Like this wasn't a fucking time when you're...
You did have a lot of dope.
A lot of dope, but this was a time like we didn't have friends that were overdosing and dying on fentanyl within 5 seconds.
No, none of that.
We were doing fucking ecstasy. We were fucking doing GHB. We were doing fucking every drug. We would do tons and massive amounts of fucking cocaine because that's what Persians love, right? And then I got into the hashish. I got into
the hashish,
old school opium. Like I'm talking old country Iran,
Burgundy, like
from Afghanistan and from Iran, opium. I never fucking kicked so hard in my life. I got into heroin for a good 6 months because I was here in Santa Ana.
Shout out to the city.
I was in the backseat of a Buick.
You didn't get it from here.
Buick Regal with a bunch of Mexicans that thought I was Mexican, and they wouldn't have been slinging to me if I was anything but Mexican, right? So I'm playing the part, And these motherfuckers pull out this.
You could get away with being Mexican.
I'm
easy,
tweaking my ass off in this backseat, just trying to play the role, right? And these Mexicans, see, I can talk about this shit. I speak so much in AA meetings, I always have to fucking just keep it to alcohol, right? But when I speak here, I can speak openly. Like, who the fuck says they huff gas in an AA meeting? Anyway, so I'm in the backseat of this black Buick Regal with these Mexicans. Dude pulls out a fucking tinfoil. And he's smoking heroin off it. And he's like, hey, Este, you going to smoke some of this chiva? I'm like, I'm good. No. He's like, what do you mean you're good?
You're going to fucking smoke.
You're going to smoke some. I'm like, no, I'm tweaking right now. He goes, oh, no. What are you ashamed of your heritage? I'm like, no, give me that. And I fucking grabbed it, started hitting. I'm like, oh. The flavor hit my fucking taste buds. And I was like, no wonder people get addicted to this shit. And the next thing you know, I was a fucking heroin addict. So like,
I didn't know that about you.
yeah, there was a roller coaster ride. Like that was my early 20s. I was doing everything.
Were you smoking it? Did you ever get into injecting it?
No, I never injected nothing except for steroids. I was afraid of needles.
Good.
I was a scared little boy. But anyway, I'll say this. There was a meth run between, I'd say 17 to 23. And back then it wasn't what it had become. It was straight up crank. And when I talk about crank, this is like the shit that was.
You're talking about the yellow shit.
There was some yellow shit. There was some pink shit.
Oh yeah, pink. Yeah,
there was some pink.
That's that boo boo.
And the stuff about this, and there was some brown shit.
Extra boo.
When you would do one line of that stuff, you would be up till next week. No fucking line. It would fucking feel like somebody stuck a pencil up your nose. This shit was jet fuel, biker dope. I got it.
And you'd be up for a week, and you'd be a fucking weirdo.
Really weird. So check this. Between 17 and 22, 23, I did this shit, and I hated my guts. I hated my own self. I hated it so fucking bad that I quit. I remember quitting that, but I didn't quit other drugs. The thing was I still continued to do all other drugs. I knew nothing about recovery. I thought the meth is the problem. So I wouldn't even fucking allow people to come to my crib that had meth. These Afghans, like from this Afghan.
As long as if they had heroin, they were good. But if they had fucking meth.
I didn't care if you bring anything to my house, cocaine, ecstasy, any of that, we're good.
Meth?
These Afghans, and during that time, there was like an Afghan gang. Like these guys.
Playboys.
There was Playboys, and they were hard. Like there was some crazy ones.
An AFG, right?
They didn't give a fuck. They would kill you. But anyway, these motherfuckers show up to my house, break out the fucking meth pipe, and talk about, we're going to smoke meth on your balcony. I'm like, no, you're not going to smoke meth on my balcony. No tweakers allowed in this house. They're like, Pej, why are you getting upset? I'm like, you don't understand. When that shit comes into my house, I turn into the devil. You might as well just fucking take it out of here.
Yeah.
So they took it out, didn't fuck around with it, continued to live a lifestyle. Now, the rave scene was popping. During the 90s, the rave scene was popping. In that time, with my artistic abilities, because I was an artist by nature, I was a cartoonist, I was an artist that drew all that stuff. I drew up some designs, and I created this clothing line. First it was a men's line, then a women's line, and then we made surfboards, skateboards, snowboards. And
Can I say something real quick? Naj?
Yeah, it was called Naj. Which
I remember, I hadn't even known Pej yet, and we used to get shirts of the Naj. Your shit was dope already back then.
There's Naj for men and nodules for women.
Yeah.
Right? And everything that we made, all the clothing was based around like everyday household items. We would rework the art to be something that was referencing drugs. Example, Coca-Cola. The t-shirt was Smoke-a-Bola.
Yeah.
Coke. The t-shirt was Toke.
Yeah.
Sunkissed. Skunk Hits. Exxon. Onyx. Everything was drug related.
They were fucking dope.
They were
at the time,
truly to their name. They were really dope.
They were.
They were so good that even fucking Dodge, which our logo was named after Nodge, sent us a cease and desist and told us, you can't make that. It was like the same 5-star fucking star with a marijuana leaf. So that was the lifestyle during the time we got into the club scene, the rave scene.
You were DJing too, right?
Well, that happened a little bit later. But when we got into the rave scene, we started throwing our own raves. And then what happened was, because I was fucking affiliated with those crazy Afghans, and because I was affiliated with the rolling 60s Crips. And because I was affiliated with a few Persian cousins that were fucking knuckleheads, these motherfuckers would come to our raves and start jacking people. So people would come to our raves like, this is plur. Like, it's fucking people coming to have fun. They're like all love and ecstasy. And these motherfuckers are coming jacking drug dealers on the floor and going and reselling their drugs to their own friends, right? And I got this reputation. There, people basically, they said Naj is like the fucking Death Row Records of the rave scene. Like, and I still get, I have friends now that are sober, like Pat Ochoa and Luke Cuchilla. Like when we talk, they say, Pej, you don't even understand. When you guys would show up to a rave, everybody would flee. Like they would fucking go hide their drugs in the cars and shit, because they'd say, there's the fucking Persian terrorists that are going to come and take advantage of us. And I didn't really like, at the time, I don't like that to be attached to me, because here I'm fucking trying to do this clothing line, but I am affiliated with very crazy people that will jack you. Like jacking became a thing. And then, again, because of the music, because of jacking, home invasions were a friend of ours. And the only reason I say, I'm not saying this, there's nothing cool about it.
Yeah.
Had I been arrested any time for doing a home invasion on somebody, I would still be in jail. I would still be in prison, right? Because when you start kidnapping people and you start fucking tying up people and you start putting them, against their will and transporting a human body without their permission, that's not good. That's kidnapping, right?
That's life.
So,
what are you gonna do?
But this is what I started getting caught up in. There was shootings and guns and things like that. Listen, none of this stuff. I know my Persian mother didn't fucking bring me to the United States to grow up to hang out and do that type of shit. Nope. My Persian mother brought me to the States to become a doctor like my dad. So it was basic. And I'm going to say this right now. I never gangbanged. I never was part of a gang. I kicked it with the gang. I employed a gang. I orchestrated certain types of things that the gang would handle. But I was more of a hustler. I like to hustle. I was all about, my get down was just to fucking make a lot of money. These days I see kids on Instagram, they be fucking flashing their stacks of cash and like all the drugs that they have. Like that shit, I don't even understand the psychology behind that, because back then I don't want nobody to fucking know how much money I have, where I keep my shit, what I got. You got it. If you knew how to get it. Like, and I'll say this too, as much as it looked like I had it going on the outside, as much as it looked extravagant, as much as we had all the women that came back from strip clubs or nightclubs back to our house, sexy little girls, all in their 20s, doing everything for us, as much as I had the homies answering to me, there was always this sense of impending doom deep within the pit of my soul.
Yeah.
There was always...
You knew you were doing wrong. There's a voice inside.
There was always this God-sized hole. And the way that I would fill that void is with drugs and alcohol, because deep in the back of my head, what was haunting me was the kid that died in that accident and who I had become as a result of that. Yeah. Yes, I was an addict already and an alcoholic as a kid. Could have been an experimental phase. I don't know. My life happened exactly the way it needed to happen, the way it did. So by the time I got into my 30s, like right when I turned 30, shit started hitting the fan.
Yeah, you're an adult now. You're a man. You're a grown man. You needed...
I had to move in with my mom again because my life wasn't working. I had a loan shark that took my fucking girlfriend's car. I would have been homeless, but I went from home to home, a couple of people's houses, right? And I got arrested by the Orange County Methamphetamine Task Force at my mom's, because my mom let me come to her crib.
That's where I used to start.
That's where you used to come to.
Yeah.
And so like mom's had she had this nice condo, but she had a garage that was detached from it that was super long. You could fit like 2.5 cars in it and build a tweaker shack in the back, and that's exactly what I did. I had this little fucking room back there, and I'm spinning records. I was a DJ.
That room was the shit, though.
It was the shit. I was a DJ in the mid-90s.
We would rap back there and do drugs.
We would make music. We would rap. We had a group. We did a lot of meth. Oh, here's what. And remember I said I quit doing meth for a while when I was 22, 23. When I was 26, my cousin Reza from LA asked me if I wanted to transport ice to Hawaii. And I told him, what the fuck is ice? And he's like, that's the most potent form of meth. I'm like, what's in it for me? He said, this is prior to 9/11.
This is all for entertainment purposes also.
He said, if you put this shit down in your pants and you go out to Hawaii, to Honolulu, and you meet with these people, we sell this stuff for 3 or 4 times the amount that we do in California. So you do this, we're going to pay you, 5 racks, and you could take your girlfriend with you. Who
Big money.
At the time, the girl was a stripper, so he goes, at all expense paid trip, we'll feed you, we'll put you up in a hotel. You could be there for 5 days. I'm like, fuck yes. I don't even do this drug.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm anti this drug. But I remember going to Hawaii, getting off the plane, going up in my room, pulling the stuff out of my underwear, and thinking, here's where my conscience started to kick in. I wonder how many lives I'm ruining with this. I wonder what kind of energy I'm putting out here in Hawaii with this. And then then the disease of addiction kicks in. It's like, shh. Open it up and take a look at the stuff. I open it up. I'm like, oh my God, this stuff looks way different than the meth I used to do. The meth I used to do was amphetamines. This was fucking glass.
Yeah.
One clearer than fucking glass. This was ice.
Ice.
And I ended up fucking bringing it out there a few times. Then I ended up jacking my cousin. And I'm not proud of that either because he and I had a falling out.
Wait, had you done it yet? Or
no, this was I haven't done it yet.
Okay, so you were
I wasn't going to do it. My cousin had a right-hand man, and I had a right-hand man. And those two guys linked up, and his guy fucked my guy Spider over. You remember Spider?
I think so.
Okay. He fucked over Spider. Spider's going away pretty soon for a long time. Long time. But he's sober, though, which is a good thing. Anyway, he shit on Spider. I called him. I said, you got to have your guy fucking take care of this guy. He didn't have him take care of him, so I fucking jacked my cousin. Who does that? Who jacks their own fucking family?
An addict.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. I moved houses. That guy put a hit on my head. He had the fucking Afghans call me. Harris and Weiss were like calling me, Page, where the fuck are you at? I'm like, it's none of your business. This is between me and my cousin. Leave it alone. Thus started my journey back on the meth. And I remember I had this girlfriend. She was 22, smoking hot. A twin. The Tweaker twins, they called them, right? Her and another one.
Tweaker twins.
All it took for me.
The Tweaker twins.
All it took for me was just to fucking one day. I said, "You're a junkie if you smoke this shit. I'll snort it." My boy came over to the house. He's like, "You don't smoke this. You don't snort this shit. You smoke it." All right, fucking give me some. I started smoking, and I said, "You're a junkie if you actually buy a pipe." The next day, I bought a pipe, and thus started a fucking major addiction. I'm saying it was so bad. I remember thinking in the very beginning of it, like, this is a 3-way road. Either I'm gonna quit this shit and break up with this chick and fucking never do this stuff again, or I'm gonna quit this shit, the codependent in me, and I'm gonna save her and her sister and her friend, and we're all gonna fucking never do this stuff again. Or the third one, if you can't beat them, join them, right? And I fucking took the third one, right? And that's the way. I went from 26 years of age to almost 36 years of age without a break, constantly tweaking.
Just blowing clouds. Just
blowing clouds. I even ended up fucking in AA meetings at 30. And I remember hearing some fucking, I thought he was a clown, sitting in this fucking meeting sharing about, I used to blow the biggest fucking clouds. And I'd sit there and be like, well, you didn't fucking blow shit. I had shards this big, motherfucker, right? No joke. No joke. We were slinging this stuff. So I got myself linked up with La M. They were fucking giving me the shit on the fucking cuff. They threatened that if I ever got in trouble and if I told on them, they'd come and kill my mom and my sister. It was like that. That's the kind of shit I got wrapped up in, right? And between 30 and 35 years of age, at 30, I ended up going to this Persian sober living. There was a guy that ran that place. His name was Sia, Mr. Siamak, right? I was telling Joe earlier, this motherfucker was like a fucking little Persian recovery Yoda, right? He even fucking kind of sounded like Yoda a little with the Persian accent. He's like, the very first day I walked up in this house, he's like, hello, how are you doing? Welcome. This is sober living. We have rules. We have regulations. We have chores. We go to meetings. I'm like, riveting. Like, what's your name? I said, my name is Mr. Sia. I'm like, Mr. Sia, nice place you have here. I didn't stay at his house. I ended up going to some other dude's house, a white dude that His name was Dave Regal, God rest his soul. Dave was one of them fucking AA Nazis. He got in my face, just lit me up. And anyway, long story short, I stayed at his house for a couple of months, worked my way back to my mom's house, went back to living my lifestyle. I was hanging out at Rogie's house. Remember him? Rogie ended up getting sober too. But, there was a lot. The lifestyle was basically just useless.
Yeah.
I was just a mutant. I was walking the streets aimless with nothing going for me.
And always looking over your shoulder.
Always looking over two shoulders, one for the cops, one to get jacked, right?
Yeah.
That was the lifestyle. And by the time I became 35, almost 36, I was a homeless man. My mother wrote me off like a bad check, wouldn't allow me in her life, didn't want me around the house, told me, do not come anywhere around my house. You're done.
And you didn't have no means to, you were going to be homeless.
I was homeless.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
During this time,
there was nowhere to go.
Literally living out of my car.
Doing drugs.
Now, here's the thing. When you're caught up in your disease, they call it like being an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, right? So like I had a couple of good friends that still told me what was good for me.
Yeah.
Like when you have friends that are looking out for your well-being.
Yes.
Very
important.
One of them told me, he's like, Pej, you're homeless. I'm like, hey, listen, you don't need to attach that word to me, right? Like, I see the fucking people that live in the tents, they're homeless. I see the people that live in the storefronts on the ground and sleep on the fucking street outside. That's lower level homeless. I have a car, bro. I'm a fucking executive homeless. If anything, he's like, yeah, but you're still
an executive homeless. Yeah.
He's like, but you're still without a home. That means you're homeless. I'm like, and then it happened. It hit me like a bag of bricks. I tried to go to my boy Amir's house and detox on his couch. And my version of detoxing was to quit doing meth, heroin, and cocaine. These were a few of my favorite things, right? But I still smoke weed and drink. And that's not detoxing. That's just fucking stopping the heavy shit. And I had this epiphany, like a moment of clarity. There was a series of events that happened. Some people came into my life within a couple of days and said exactly the right things at the right time for my fucking thick-skulled head to fucking hear it and do something about it. One of them was a guy named Disco that was doing drugs at Rogie's house. He was smoking a meth pipe. He was fresh out of rehab in fucking Miami. As we're smoking, I go, Disco, you think I should go to rehab? He goes, you absolutely should go to rehab. You're rehab material. I'm like, didn't you just get out of
Why
rehab?
you guys are twisting?
While we're twisting up, I go, didn't you just get out of rehab? And he goes, yeah, I'm just not ready yet. I'm like, okay, so that was like the onset. Then I talked to my mom's friend who I despised, who also had a son that was my age in Utah that was never getting better. And as much as I didn't like this guy, I sat and I listened to him. And for once, I opened my mind to maybe getting some help. Then I saw my friend Laura at Sergeant Pepperoni's, and she was coming outside. And I said, Laura, long time no see. And she looked at me and she saw how dirty I was. She said, listen here, Pej. Don't come any closer to me. I'm like, what's up?
Wow.
Why? She goes, you're not sober. I'm like, Laura, we used to get high together. We used to have fun. She goes, I'm 4 years sober. I can't hang out with people like you. You can be in my life if you get sober. So it was because of those things, when I went to Amir's house, I fucking tried to detox myself and sleep, catch up on the sleep. And then what does every so-called gangster do when they run out of options? I call my mommy. And when mom answered the phone, I didn't realize mom was at this point a brown belt in Al-Anon. It was a different conversation. She talked to me different, man. She wasn't that fucking...
She wasn't going to let you do it anymore.
No, man. She wasn't that Persian mom that I could pull the wool over her eyes and tug at her heartstrings. She basically, in a nutshell, told me that I was dead to her. I said, what the fuck are they teaching you those Al-Anon classes? She said, listen, I haven't had my son since before he was an adolescent. I don't know what has become of you, but this monster that's overtaken you, this isn't my son. If you want help, you'll call this number. So I got the phone number for this guy named Max. She hung up the phone on me. I called the guy Max, and he told me, when are you ready to get sober? I said, today's Tuesday. How about Friday? Right? I needed a few days I had some affairs to attend to. I had some things to finish up. So I ended up on Tuesday morning, he led me to this house in Irvine, California. I didn't sleep Thursday night. Friday morning, I went there, parked the car. First, I went around the neighborhood just to go and check and make sure everything was intact. Make sure, make sure it's all real. And then I rolled up to the house and I knocked on the door, and lo and behold, when the door opened, it was the little Persian recovery Yoda from 5 years before.
Same guy.
Mr. Sia. I looked him dead in his eyes and I was like, I know you. He's like, I don't know you. I'm like, how do you not know me? You had a house 5 years ago, Huntington Beach, Beach Boulevard. He's like, I had the house. I don't remember you. I'm like, how do you not remember me? He said, because it's been 5 years and I only remember the ones that stay. You don't know how much fucking wisdom oozed out of this guy's mouth.
I bet.
This man broke me down and built me up. This man did a fucking psychodrama. He performed a psychodrama on me. He was an experienced counselor, and that changed my whole life. It was my turning point. I got to relive the day of my car accident. He had somebody that was 12 years old lay on the ground, put a sheet over that guy's body, and had me walk around the room and talk about the whole day and the way that accident went down. He said that kid that was laying on the ground with the sheet over his body represented the corpse of the kid that I hit on the bicycle that died. He said, what was his name? I said, his name was David. He said, tell David how you feel about losing your life. I said, I'm so sorry, David. I never intended for you to lose your life, as I'm pouring tears. He said, now tell David about your life. I said, what do you mean my life, Sia? He said, tell him about what happened to your life. I go, I don't have a fucking life. I never had a fucking life. I don't know what having a life is like. He said, okay, then you want to make a commitment, Pej? I said, yeah. He goes, what's your commitment? I said, I want to help every single addict and alcoholic of every age, race, creed, and color one day at a time for the rest of my life.
Wow.
As I'm pouring tears and I look over, my mom would not even come visit me in that rehab. But on this particular night, she was there, sitting over there with tears pouring down her face shaking. And I thought to myself, motherfucker, if you fuck this one up, Pej, you're going to fucking break that woman's heart into so many little pieces.
Wow.
And everybody else in that, I mean, it was a room full of Persians and man, you could have filled buckets with tears, right? It was a very powerful experience, and that was my
very touching.
That is where I changed my fucking whole outlook on this thing, because anything before that was Pej having reservations to still smoke weed and not take this thing serious. But that day was so powerful for me that I made a decision. I got to do this thing 100%. No more fucking around. No more looking back. No more entertaining the idea of smoking weed. Why don't you find your real authentic self and do this thing? Now, I do want to say this. That man, being one of my greatest mentors, introduced me to a few spiritual giants. Siamak. That man died this year. It was about 5 months ago. I called Joe, as a matter of fact, and his brother, to let them know that he was on his deathbed. I went and watched that man. When I walked in that hospital room, he was unrecognizable. He looked like a shell of a human being, just a skeleton. He was gasping his last breaths for a few days. And that little fucking soldier, man, here's what went through my head. Everybody else in the room was crying, but I thought to myself, Siamak always taught me to be strong. And Sia always told me, there's the most important thing that should matter the most to you is that when we die, when we go out sober. I held his frail hand. I was shaking. I was crying. And his voice started coming in my head. Keep it going. Keep the legacy going. Keep the recovery legacy going. Keep helping people. Do it from the bottom of your heart. Don't do it with your ego. Continue this process. Share the process. And he passed away.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. I'll never forget him, though. He's like my greatest teacher, one of my greatest teachers. And anybody that experienced Siamak. Because I've seen a lot of cats come and go, and they're not just Persians. There's Armenians, there's Mexicans, there's Arabs, there's whites, there's blacks, there's everyone. Whether you hated him or loved him, when he told you the truth, he never was scared to tell you the truth, even if it hurts your feelings. So a lot of motherfuckers that came through Siamak's house that didn't stay sober still have a bit of respect for him. And when I do see them in passing or public or online or something, when they talk to me about Siamak, even if they're not sober, they still tell me that some of the greatest lessons in their lives that they've learned were from that man. And check this out. Everything I know, everything I do was stemmed from Siamak and other spiritual giants like my guy Amir Sharifnia, as well as Uncle Ted, who was from South Central. That was like Siamak's partner in crime. Amu Farhad, these guys were the real ones, man. These guys were the ones that demonstrated altruism, selflessness at its finest. I'm talking, man, I'm on fire for recovery.
Yes, you are. Which is amazing.
I love recovery. I love being sober. And a lot of people say, Pesh, like, so you don't ever even think about just smoking a little bit of weed? Check this out. I live in LA part-time. I smell weed right out my window every fucking day. And sometimes, you know, my head will go, oh, I remember that smell. But I'm so over it now that, like, I ain't just a weed smoking type of guy. If I decided to throw it all away and smoke weed, my mouth would get dry.
Yeah.
And if my mouth got dry, I would need to quench it with some fucking liquor.
Tito's, yeah.
Right. And if I drank some liquor, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to call Chewy in about an hour and go fucking get some dope.
It's going down.
It's going down. And then for some people, you know what it is? The weekend is a big deal. But for me, Thursday's Friday Junior. So I'll take Thursday straight through the weekend and not even make it to work on Monday.
You know what it is, Pez? Is like, I feel like the reason why you say that I can relate to a lot because it's having an addictive personality. And I feel like I have that same issue because anything that I've ever liked or loved in my life, I become addicted to. So knowing that, like, just taking that one hit it's not gonna happen like that.
They say in recovery, one is too many, 1,000 is never enough.
Exactly.
Tell me how many times we smoked that fucking meth pipe.
Oh man, it was some crazy times. You know, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on too, is like with my past, like I did all that too. I had some really crazy incidents. Like I was gonna tell you that one time about the acid. I was with my boys and I had never done acid at this time. Yeah. And we get this vial thing and like a cough syrup cup.
Yeah. It's like gel.
It was like
liquid acid.
It was liquid. It was filled. Like it was a lot of it.
Joe, what you know about that liquid acid?
We're driving and I'm in the back seat. We hit a fucking bump. This shit spills all over my hand.
Oh my goodness.
I had no idea like it goes in your pores or any of that shit. My friend's like, oh fuck. You're gonna be fucked up
for a while.
And then he's like, lick it. So there's this bunch of fucking acid on my I licked the whole thing.
Ryan would have licked it.
Bro, we're riding in the fucking car. We're driving down the street. And then the camera, my mind camera spins around and I'm watching myself. And then my friend starts talking to me and his fucking nose starts going for the rest of the night. We went to the park. The fucking trees were talking to me. I was probably like 19, 18 years old. I was very young. I thought I was going to die that night.
I mean, listen, acid is a very commonly used thing for teenagers. Not everybody.
That shit was
not all teenagers.
It was. I'll admit the fucking colors were cool, but I couldn't wait for that shit to wear off, and I was so excited for when it did wear off. And for the over years, like I did battle different addictions to drugs and stuff. And you know, for me, what it was going to jail back and forth and kind of being involved with what I was involved with. When I would go to jail, it was not fun for me in there, and I was in several riots and stuff, and I didn't want to be in there. So when I finally got out, I was like, the drugs are what was fucking me up. And I was doing bad shit. I was jacking fools for the drugs. And then the people that I was jacking were lying and saying I was stealing money from them. So I was facing a lot of time for shit that I wasn't even doing. And then I'm like, man, I don't want to do this no more. And then I get out, I start changing. But then one thing happens to me. In my older age, I start drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
And I didn't drink, like if you remember, I didn't drink back in the days. I didn't drink at all. I smoked weed and I did other stuff, but you know, I was never.
Alcohol can become a great crutch when you don't want to do other drugs.
Yes, and like there's
a lot of people that come into recovery and get sober from the drugs and think the drugs were their problem, especially people who go to NA. And they think alcohol wasn't their problem. They go and test those waters, and then they become an alcoholic.
Dude, I immediately became an alcoholic because as soon as I had that feeling of being drunk again at an older age, I loved it. And then like literally every day I would drink. I would drink like big cups of vodka, like to an excess. At the time, I'm never thinking about like, oh, it's gonna mess your liver up. It's gonna mess your body up. Something bad could happen to you. Years go by and I'm starting to notice like I'm getting unhealthy. I don't feel good. I work out a lot. So for me, I wake up, no energy. I'm doing these workouts. I feel like death.
Yeah.
One of my girlfriend's friends, her boyfriend passes away. And then we're wondering what the fuck happened. He went to the hospital and said his liver was hurting. I said, oh shit, what happened? So he ends up dying from liver cirrhosis, I believe it's called. And so when I heard this, I started fucking thinking to myself, like, man, I'm probably headed there myself.
Yeah.
I'm drinking more than you can imagine.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I reached out to you at this time too, because you're like the only friend I have that is in the recovery field. And I was telling you, and at that time I still wasn't ready. I reached out to you and I was like, Pej, like I want to stop drinking. Like, and you were like, you need to come see me. I want you to come to some meetings. And I wasn't serious yet.
Yeah.
And bro, I kept drinking.
A lot of old school friends reach out to me, but they don't ever come through.
I kept drinking. One day I woke up and like my liver area was like a stabbing pain in my liver area. And I had been praying to God for a while, like, God help me, like this, I don't want to drink anymore. But I was like addicted to it. You know, I wanted it every day. Like I come home, it's fucking Monday night. I just trained. I'm drained. Like I'm going to go to sleep. I drink fucking this much fucking vodka. I don't even know why. And so, yeah, I wake up, my liver's starting to hurt. And that day I knew it was time. And I quit. It's been 5 months now, and I've been I talked to you. I went to a meeting. I've been telling you for the first, I think like 60 days, I would text you every day just because I wanted someone to talk to about it. I would text you day 3, day 4, and I was so excited. And then this is why I'm bringing this story up, you know, is because just recently, again, I started feeling the pain in my liver, and I'm like, oh shit, it's back. Like something
resurfacing.
Something's wrong. And I got fucking worried. I got 3 kids. I raised 3 kids by myself. If something happens to me, what's going to happen to them? Yeah. And I was so nervous and so scared, like as tough as I am, as I like to think I am. Yeah. I was scared to go and get checked out. I was scared to go do blood work and all that because I was scared of what I was going to hear. Yeah. From the first time that I had that pain in the liver. Right. So you know what? I said, you know what? I'm fucking done. I got up and I went to the emergency room. I told them I have pain in my liver, and I told them I used to drink. This is the story. I kept it 100. I wanted them to know.
Well, they do some tests and shit.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, we're gonna do your blood work. We're gonna do let's get a urine sample, and let's do a not the CT scan first. It was the ultrasound. So I did all 3 of those things. The doctor I'm fucking nervous wreck. The doctor comes back. He's like, your blood work came back good. I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, the liver enzymes are not high because I had been to the doctor not too long ago, and my liver, they said, hey, your liver enzymes are kind of high. And then I said, oh, okay. And then the lady said, well, if you'd been drinking, that might be why it be. So I haven't been drinking. So he's like, the liver enzymes are good. Yeah. I'm like, okay, fuck, that's amazing. I haven't done anything. Then he's like, okay, and your urine came back positive, good, everything's great. We're going to do the ultrasound. Then he comes back and he tells me you have mild hepatomegaly, which is the meaning of that is enlarged liver. Ooh, that ain't good. And that's when the nervousness kicked in. I'm like, oh fuck. We're gonna take you for a CT scan now to find out if you have liver disease. And this is when it hit home, like, oh fuck, did I drink myself into the ground? And did I kill myself? What did I do? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sitting in the hospital just thinking about my kids, and man, if I had another chance, like I wouldn't have done this. If there's anything that can help me, God, please, you know, I'm gonna do the right things. I'm gonna be a voice for people. I'm gonna help people, like things that I've been trying to do anyway. The doctor comes back. He looks at me. He's like, you know what? You got a second chance, brother. I said, what do you mean? So your CT scans came back good, bro. Wow. Your CT scans came back good. Your liver's okay. It's healing.
God has a plan.
It's healing. And man, it was like magic to my ear. It was like when you really want something, when you ask for God's help, when you look to your friends, to the people that are,
can help you with, whether it be just a couple sentences. Because for you, like, I think at first you didn't even take me serious. You were like, I've known you for years. You fuck up, but like once you saw, like, you started talking to me more about it. Okay, you need to come see me. You need to do this. You need to do that. And, thank God, bro, that I stopped when I did, because I was headed towards putting myself in the dirt.
I'm glad you stopped too. I mean, here's the thing. Crazy as it may seem, when I got newly sober, I was still in touch with you a little bit. I wanted to come back and save you and many of the other people that we were getting high with, because I thought, I was so excited for this new way of life. I thought, fuck, everybody needs to experience this, because everything else before that was the facade. Which truly, when you're caught up in drugs and alcohol, I don't give a shit who you are, how you live, what caliber of life you're in, if you're high class, low class. If you're using drugs and alcohol, you're trying to lift your spirits with chemicals. And there is no spiritual solution from a chemical, right? It's got to happen without the chemicals inside of you. I'm happy that you're on this path.
Thank you. I'm blessed.
I think your kids are going to be happy that you're on this path.
The thing I want to say, brother, is like, I became the one thing that was good for me, that got me out of, the gang life, the streets, the drugs, the women, was the martial arts. I started doing jiu-jitsu and MMA, and that really changed my life. And, I'm a coach now, and I feel like the most important thing for me as a person, as an individual that's been through a lot, been through drugs, been through alcohol, been to jail, been in the gang life, has kids. Like, I feel like we're here now to be of service and to be there for those people that are going through those situations and don't know the outcome yet. And that's one of the things I wanted to give you your flowers today, bro, because I feel like, man, what a blessing to have. Like, I know what a dear friend you are to me. And I realize, like, sometimes I'm like, man, I don't get to see him much anymore, but I know what you're doing. And, you're doing the work of God. You're doing positive things. You're helping people to stay away from drugs and alcohol, which destroys their lives.
Absolutely.
They may not see it now, the people that are stuck doing it, but it is slowly and surely destroying your life. And so, as one of my good friends that I've known for many, many years, I just want to say I'm so proud of you, bro. And I want to use my platform to bring you on today so you could tell a little bit about your story. And now Pej is a completely different human being. He's got the YouTube channel, the TikTok, you name it, where he's constantly feeding information about drugs and alcohol and what you can do to stop. And not only that, but every message that he sends, he puts his phone number, and you can get a hold of him directly if you need help. And so what I want to suggest today is, if, just like me, anyone that's struggling with drugs or alcohol in the martial arts world, at friends of mine, or even new listeners, people that are just watching the podcast, if you need somebody to talk to, you need to talk to somebody that has been through it. If you're not talking to somebody that's been through it and overcome it, then you're not getting the right advice. And this man right here is 100% someone you should talk to if you're looking for help. And Pej, please let people know how they can get a hold of you, because if I can even help one person through you, is a blessing to me. So please let everybody know.
So there's a few different ways to find me. I mean, obviously, you could always call me at 310-596-9356. But if you want to actually vet me and see what I'm all about and see that I'm not all smoke and mirrors, you can go on my YouTube channel, which is Pej, the Addiction Interventionist, which is PEJ, the Addiction Interventionist. Then, if you go on my TikTok, you'll see all the different shorts that we make, which is Pej Interventions. Same thing goes for Instagram. On Facebook, it's Pej's Recovery Corner. That's actually my Facebook page. And Pej's Recovery Corner is obviously my name, Pej, P-E-J-I, Pej's Recovery Corner. That is my podcast. We have people from all walks of life. I'm going to have you on there soon.
I'll be a blessing.
We have people that have overcome their addiction, their alcoholism, their mental health, and then some people who are still struggling. We get professionals on there, doctors, therapists, people that specialize in addiction treatment, addictionologists, things like that, and just speak on it, come and talk about what they're seeing out there. There's so many different types of substances that people are addicted to, and there's so many different, dramas that happen in people's lives as a result of, dual diagnosis, co-occurring disorders, all that stuff. So we're out there just trying to save lives and help people find the best versions of themselves and really, really get on the path of recovery if their life is not working on being on drugs or on alcohol.
100%. And if you truly do care about yourself and you care about your family, you need to make sure that you find a way out. I don't care what it is. If you need to talk to a friend, if you need to go to get treatment, you got to get out of that lifestyle, because you're going to end up in two places: the ground or in jail. And neither one of those places are places you guys want to be. So thank you today, brother.
Thank you too.
I appreciate you.
I love the setup. I love everything you got going on here. I love that my family came and kicked out the boys. These are a bunch of sober young men. I could say young men because they're all younger than me. I'm an old motherfucker that still wears a fucking KD shirt right here. If you don't know who KD is, this guy was the fucking the freshest MC in the world from the 90s, and he's still fucking making hits. And his son is too.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of Legacy TV, where we try to bring you that real. Like, subscribe, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your auntie, and your cousin. I'll at you on the next one. Peace.